Hello, 8th grade students and parents. This video is meant to recap information that I covered in the parent meeting that took place on last Thursday and the student information meeting that took place during school on Monday. Um, this will be a resource for you if you felt like you missed something or you want to reiterate. Here it is. So we're going to do a lot of the same things that we did in those other meetings. So I'm going to introduce you to some people that are going to be important in the next few years. You're going to see them around. I'm going to cover graduation requirements and some things that we want to consider on the long term. We're going to cover scheduling, how that process works here at the high school. We're going to even cover some differences, both academically, social, emotionally, and career and college-wise between the high school and the junior high school. And then I'm going to put up my information page for you guys so that you can email or call me any questions that you have. So that's me over there on the left. I'm Austin Halsey, the 9th and 10th grade counselor. My counterpart, Heather Keating, is on the right over there. She's the 11th and 12th grade counselor. Together, we handle pretty much everything at the high school related to counseling. However, we do have certain areas that we specialize in. So I take care of most of the application process for the Miami Valley Career Technology Center. I also handle a lot of the master scheduling, as well as all the 504s for the 9th and 10th grade. And then some hodgepodge responsibilities, such as career assessments and things like that. Miss Keating over there on the right, she takes care of all kinds of things. She does a lot of scholarship opportunities, the College Credit Plus program. She focuses on getting graduation requirements met for the upperclassmen. She does a lot of different things as well. So we together we work to make sure that you guys have a lot of good opportunities up here, but we do have certain areas that we excel at. All right, these two gentlemen are going to be running the show. You have the principal over there on the left. That is Todd Kazarick. He handles most of the unseen administrative things. And then Andy Berry over there on the right, you're going to see him a lot. He handles a lot of the safety as well as disciplinary incidents that take place at the high school. So they run the administrative show. The parents, what are we going to need to know when our kid goes up to the high school? Well, there's going to be a lot of focus on graduation. All right, we're in the business of graduating people. That's what we want. We want kids to be successful, and the best way to do that is to give them a diploma. The way that they can earn a diploma is twofold. There's requirement number one, which is credits. You have to hit 22 credits in the designated fields in that box. You'll see that. And you also have to meet a score of 18 on your end of course exams. So as far as credits go, you have to have 4 credits in English, 4 in math, 3 in social studies, 3 in science, half a credit in health, 1 credit of fine art, a half a credit in PE, so physical education. However, you are allowed to waive that one. I'll talk more on that here in a bit. And then you have to make up the other 22 in various electives or courses that you find entertaining and applicable to your future career. Each full year course gives 1 credit. We do have half year courses, so those are semester courses, and those give you a half credit. So, for example, if it says you have to have 4 credits of English, that means your 4 full years of English is required, unless you accelerate that through the College Credit Plus program. All right, as far as end of course exams go, these might be new to you if you don't have a student going through high school. So there are 7 courses at the end of which you take an exam. We have in-house exams for all of our courses, but the state has exams for these 7. So English 9, English 10, Algebra 1, Geometry, Government, American History, and Biology. And you are ranked on a scale of 1 to 5. 3 is the goal. 3 is proficient. 4 and 5s would be awesome. 1s and 2s mean that we, could have some improvement in there. And the way that they kind of mitigate this is they make sure that you have subscores there at the bottom. So between the ELA, the English Language Arts 1 exam, and the English Language Arts 2 exam, you have to have a base score of 4. So you have to hit 2 per test, but there's wiggle room. You could do 1 and 4 or 0 and 4 or 1 and 3, sorry, and meet your basic 4 subscore. Same thing with algebra and geometry. Between those two, you have to have a total of 4. It does not matter if you are better at geometry or algebra as long as you total out to 4 points. And then there, the bottom 3, government, American history, and biology. As long as you have taken those 3 exams and you can get a 6 or higher on all 3 of, or between all 3 of those, you'll be good. So 18 points total. The state does require that students take the ACT, but I'm not going to focus on that one a whole lot because we offer that to every junior in the high school at one day. So you'll know, you'll hear announcements when you're a junior that we're going to be taking the ACT on a certain day, and then you all just meet up and we do that all at once. So you will hit the ACT as long as you're in the building and ready for it, and we can do makeups as well if you miss that day, but you will take it your junior year. So let's look at why the state might do that. Here's an example of a student. So I have the exams listed on the left. I have what scores the student received in the middle, and then the running total on the right. Okay, so what you'll notice is right off the bat, this student was better at English his 9th grade year than his 10th grade year, and across the board, he wasn't that great in math. However, he was really good in history. He really accelerated at government. He got the highest score possible on that one, and he did mostly well on the American history exam. And he did not do well on biology. So this student struggles with math and science. What's nice here is if you'll look, he still hit his 18 points, and he still hit his sub-scores. All right, so he was equal to or greater than 4 for both of his English scores. Same thing with math, and he had over 6 between government and science. And then he did take the ACT again because we offer that to every junior. So he had all of his points and managed to hit his sub-scores. This kid will graduate as long as he has his 22 credits. The state intends this for students who might accelerate in one area and fall short in another. So if you know your kid is really good at one or the other, this might be able to put them at ease. You do not have to be a jack of all trades. You can be a master of one or two, but we still have to hit our sub-scores. All right, those are the minimums for graduation, depending on your student and what their future might hold. We do want to make sure that they're also creating a competitive transcript or competitive record of grades and achievements. We do that by, having them pursue a number of different things. The more difficult a class is, the better it looks to colleges, and those are in order. So AP is traditionally considered more challenging than the College Credit Plus program. And the reason being is AP is nationally surveyed. So a kid in Florida takes the same test as a kid in Maine, and that test is also given to a kid in, California. So if you can score a 3, 4, or 5 on that AP test, it's saying, nationally, this is where you rank. Where CCP, while it is a college class, different universities have different standards of difficulty, and so it's a little less likely that they're going to accept it as super difficult when a student who took a College Credit Plus course at Ohio State, for example, might be very different than one that took one at Sinclair. So AP, CCP, honors, etc. Additionally, we also want kids to broaden their horizons through unique opportunities. There's work experience if you hold down a job, if you volunteer for a certain camp or you go to a certain camp. Extracurriculars look great on transcripts, all right? National Honor Society, different sports and clubs, anything that shows dedication over a long period of time that you can stick with something and do well at it, as well as any accolades. So if you want to graduate with an honors diploma or magna cum laude or summa cum laude or valedictorian, all that stuff. So GPA ranks are going to play a big part too. So our goal is to create the best transcript we can to put forward to colleges and universities. So after, if you're going to hit the graduation requirements for just minimum graduation requirements, start focusing on these things and really plan on putting your best foot forward with colleges. All right, students have been given these. You are going to see them at home soon, hopefully. One is the Honors Diploma guidelines, one is the course book, and then they will have a packet of things attached to this, this page. It'll be green for the freshmen. And one thing to consider is Honors diplomas do not mean that they took honors classes. It just means that they hit the requirements on the list here. So to graduate with an academic honors diploma, they have to hit these requirements. Additionally, there are other ones such as career tech honors. They have to hit those requirements: STEM, art, social science, civic engagement, all of those. So everything has a different list of requirements. Now, what is nice is if you're planning for these, you are permitted to knock off one of these requirements. So let's say you wanted to do, the career tech honors diploma, and it has a portfolio as well as a field experience. You can, take off the portfolio and just do the field experience and still make it. Additionally, if you're planning on those and you want to really make sure you're in courses that have a purpose that'll set you up for future success, go to this book with this title page on it. It is our course selection guide. It'll go through all of the classes by department. It'll tell you what you cover in them, if there are prerequisites, how many credits you get, who can take this course. It is everything included about courses. If you have a question about a course, you can reference it there. All right, so how does scheduling work at the high school? Well, they're going to be due on the 22nd. I know that that's a 1-week turnaround, so that is fast. Typically, we give them a few weeks, but we're behind on scheduling this year. If you're up on the school calendar, the 22nd is the last day before spring break that they'll be in school, and I don't want to take any chances of losing these things over spring break. So we're going to ask that all students turn them in on the 22nd, and they can always turn them in earlier. So feel free to give them to Ms. Carmack or your teacher before Friday, and just make sure that you have your parent's signature and your teacher's signature on the courses that are required. Parents, we really want to bring you into the fold on this conversation. They're going to have a lot more options in front of them, and we ask that between the teachers and the parents that the students are receiving a decent bit of guidance. So having conversations with them about what they want to do after high school, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what goals do they have for themselves. These are all conversations that we need to start having with them, both in school and out of school. And don't let scheduling intimidate you. I have an example here. Like, this is what the freshmen will see. All right. There's 14 choices on one side, 19 choices on the other. As they get older, more and more choices are available. So they'll see something like this eventually, where there's 37 and 39, plus outside of high school experiences that they can pursue. So it does get more and more complicated, but the first few years they will pick up on a lot. So when looking at the schedule, there are a few things that I want to draw your attention to. One is anything that at the top it'll have the course subject, and it'll say choose one if it is required. At the bottom, you'll also see it'll have 1 credit. So any of these 3 courses will give you 1 credit, and a teacher initial is required. If it's a line, you'll see that a teacher's initials are required. I've updated some of them to have boxes, which means that is the student's choice. But anything that has choose one indicates that it must be taken, and that goes back to how many credits they need to graduate. So they need 4 English, 4 math. So you're going to be taking a math and an English class every year that you're at high school. Additionally, as I mentioned before, health is going to be required. You cannot waive it as if it was physical education. PE can be waived, health cannot. It is non-negotiable. On the PE waiver note, though, the state of Ohio permits us to do this, and Valley View consents to doing this, that any student who participates in 2 full years of an extracurricular sport or activity can then waive PE. The big thing to consider here is that it does not award a half a credit. So if you waive this, it negates your responsibility to take the course, but you are still held accountable for 22 credits. So you will have to meet that half credit in some other way by another elective or something like that. You just do not have to take PE. Attached to your scheduling packet is a waiver. There's a frequently asked questions on the back if you want to skim that over. And then if you have any additional questions, please call or email me. I'll be happy to help out with that. And then just a friendly reminder, parents, please sign these. This is our way of verifying that you did have a conversation with your student, that you are okay with the courses that they're taking, and that we can go ahead and move forward with scheduling them into what they need. On the back, you'll see some important information. One is the alternate choices. Um, I'm sure it works like this in pretty much every school, but freshmen are going to be kind of at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to selecting courses. If there's one spot left in a course and a freshman and a senior want it, the senior gets it. We have to make sure that seniors are getting courses that they need to graduate, and so we can't, push them to the curb because a freshman wants that class as well. That same courtesy will be extended to your student once they're up as up the chain of command. Once they're a senior, they'll have that same privilege. But for freshmen especially, if they do get knocked out of a class because it is full and they're upperclassmen in it, I would like to know what courses you would be okay with, that you have not registered for in the grid above. So in the grid above, you should total somewhere between 5.75 credits and 7. So just use the credits at the bottom of each box to kind of total them out. There's also a chart in your scheduling packet that can be very helpful for that. And once you hit 5.75 to 7, anything more, you've scheduled too many classes. Anything less, you haven't scheduled enough. And once you have those, put your alternate codes down so I know where to put you if in the event I can't get you into a class. Study halls can be a little tricky. It says, I want a study hall for 1 semester. Semester marks might be new to your students, so you might have to explain that a little bit. Semester just means 1/2 of the year. So you can have 1 study hall for 1/2 of the year, or you can have 1 study hall for both semesters, which means the full year. So keep that in mind. That will count towards your 7 because that is 1 period that we will be scheduling you into, or a half a period that we will be scheduling you in. Graduation requirements are also posted over on the right. In case you happen to lose the first or the second or third page of your packet, it is still on your schedule request. One word about students who have been identified as gifted. This actually came up more in the student meeting than the parent meeting, but if you happen to be considered or labeled as gifted, if you are considered superior cognitive, what that means is you need to be in all of the accelerated classes, and your teachers should be notified of this. They should already be. But if there's an option between a college prep course and an honors course, you are permitted to take the honors one. There's a AP or CCP, those in-house, those courses are the ones that you need to be taking. So superior cog or creative thinking, all of those courses are going to be granted to you. Now, if you are gifted as, if you are ID'd as gifted in a specific course, such as reading, math, science, or social studies, you can only accelerate in that specific course. So if social studies is what you're gifted in, you are going into only the superior, the tougher, the more rigorous class for social studies, and not the other 3. If by chance you do not want your student in that class, there is a process for agreeing to a less rigorous class. You do have to contact Sarah Schlehoff. She's the gifted coordinator. She will have to contact the parents, and we're going to have you sign some paperwork. We fully support your decision to make the choices that are best for your kid. However, legally, we have to have something on file that says you are aware we are denying or declining the services to be in the accelerated class. So that is just for students who have been identified as gifted. All right, looking forward to the differences between junior high school and the high school. The big one is the transcript. Grades, I don't want to say that grades didn't matter, but grades don't follow you in junior high. They will in high school. In fact, if you're already taking your Algebra 1 for high school credit, it will be on your transcript already. Any grade you receive from here on out will be a part of a record that is then sent to any scholarship opportunities, colleges, or even employers. And it is very important that we start out strong. You want to have the most competitive, best-looking transcript so people who are evaluating you and other people for the same money or spot that they view you as favorable. Now, you might have heard, the old school way of saying that if a kid doesn't pass a grade, they retain them, so you might take 7th grade twice or something like that. We do not do any of that, but what's really important is that we can force you to retake certain courses. So if you don't pass Algebra 1, you're going to take Algebra 1 and Geometry the following year. We will keep rescheduling you into the same courses until you graduate, or until you pass them because of graduation. There are certain courses that have to be taken. I have seen kids take health for 3 or 4 times before they decide that it's important enough to take, or that they just don't want to be in there anymore. Now, this is typically not the case. Most of you guys take classes, you pass them, you move on. But if your student struggles academically, it's very important for you to know that they can be forced to retake classes. And every course that they retake, that's one less opportunity they get senior year, when they can have the freedom to choose more enjoyable classes. So keep that in mind. And then across the board, once you hit high school, there is a pace that you will need to meet. Even if you're going into just the regular classes, if you're not accelerated, you're not gifted, anybody who moves up to the high school will tell you that there is a faster pace to the material. You are expected to do more on your own outside of class, and that deadlines are a little bit shorter, less walking you through things, more expecting you to come with questions if you have any. And then parents, it's also really important to know that as students get older, they are exposed to certain temptations that maybe are not quite appropriate for them. There's a reason during our advisory days that we talk about drugs, we talk about alcohol, we talk about inappropriate use of technology, and the reason is because they are more, susceptible to those things. And while I believe that Valley View does a phenomenal job, but we have a great community, we have wonderful families here that normally do a very, very, very good job of raising upright young men and women. That does not mean that we are free of our own errors. So they will be exposed to these things. It's worth having conversations about it, and we will be covering it up here at the high school as much as we can. Additionally, students are expected to be autonomous. What this means is they are going to take ownership of their things more. If there's a meeting that parent-teacher conferences, if a parent comes in, we're going to have them bring the student. The student's going to be answering questions and engaging in that conversation too. If there's a 504 or an IEP meeting, we are going to be provoking responses from them as well. So the days of just kind of letting mom and dad cover everything are going to kind of be over. Obviously, we want all the input that we can get, but we are going to really try to be raising them up to really take responsibility for themselves, because in 4 years they might have to, and we want to do what we can to set them up for success later, which might mean bringing them into the conversation early. Additionally, mental health is going to be a focus here across the board, not at Valley View, but across the board. High schoolers are experiencing more anxiety, more depression, and I think the nation's always trying to figure out what exactly is the cause of that, and we're going to work hard here to make sure that we build a resilience in our students and allow them to have the mental fortitude to resist some of that negative self-talk and negative emotion. As far as college and career goes, students really have to start planning for the future. It might seem foreign to talk to a 14-year-old about what they want to do with their life when they're out of high school or out of college, but it needs to start happening now. I would say if freshmen can have a good exposure to the different jobs that are out there, that's perfect. And then sophomore year, we might be able to hone in a little bit more on what either subject matter or career field, or even major that they want to have. And then junior year, we might be able to go and job shadow some things. And senior year, maybe we get them working in the field that they want to pursue. And it really can't wait till their senior year. We really have to have a good plan ahead of the curve so that we can plan accordingly. Another thing is make good social media decisions. We had a speaker not too long ago come and speak to us about how colleges and universities, as well as the NCAA college athletics, they are really, really, really seeking out social media accounts for these students and using it to determine acceptance and things like that. The last thing we want is for a student with a phenomenal transcript to say something on social media that gets them disqualified. So keep that in mind. It can really make or break an application. And And yes, students, we know about your Finsta accounts, your fake Instagram accounts, where it's not your actual name, but you still use it so that no one can track you and parents can't monitor. We know. We know. All right. So be ready to answer for anything you say on social media. And then lastly, there are many options to consider while in high school. There are the Career Technology Center, there's the CCP, there's the traditional student, we can do CBI, we have, I mean, there's a bunch of options in front of you, and we want to make sure that you're considering all of them. So when you get to the high school, make sure you're proactive in planning for your future, behaving as you should, and making sure that you're aware of all the options that are afforded to you. Well, believe it or not, that is the end of the slideshow. So if you have any questions, I'm going to put up my stuff right here. So if you want to call the school, extension 1009, or email me at austin.halsey@valleyview.k12.oh.us, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you have. Or if you want to swing by Miss Carmack's office and ask her, that works too. Okay, but please realize that we're here for you. We want good things for you, and we will help out in any way that we can. Have a great day.